So Steven Crowder says that he's going to expose the phony brand name conservatives now that he has left the Blaze and is independent. Or is he the phony and a coward trying to cash in on a fake controversy? Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel if you're new here, because I'll break it down like nobody else. Since I have no strings attached, I haven't signed any NDAs with anyone, and I don't believe in any sacred cows. Crowder's big announcement this week after he returned from a 3-week Christmas break was this.
We here at Mug Club, we thought that we were all in this together, that we were fighting the media, entertainment, industrial complex. We thought that we were all genuinely taking it to big tech. But too many of those in charge of the big conservative platforms are verifiably in bed with them. Big tech is in bed with big con. The people you thought, the people I thought were fighting for you, a lot of it has been a big con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video, because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart. It's never too late to do the right thing. Guys, this is a genuine plea. We can all do better. We can all do better. It doesn't have to be this way. And please, don't make me have to provide receipts.
Yeah, I'm sure your little video is going to cause the con artists to completely change their ways. Please be better, phonies. Since Steven Crowder apparently doesn't have the guts to do what should be done, I will. I will show receipts again, like I have been for years, exposing Conservative Inc., the brand name Republicans. But first, Crowder went on to complain that the contract, which wasn't even a contract, it was an offer or a term sheet given to him by one of these big con companies, stipulated that if he got banned from any of the platforms, his pay would also get cut. Well, what a surprise. If you lose your reach, the advertisers lose their reach, and so the network loses money, and you're going to lose money. But he was really focused on one clause, saying that he would be docked $100,000 if he missed one episode. Well, I'm going to give it to you straight, like I always do, and because I don't have a dog in this fight, he conveniently didn't mention this, but the Daily Wire was going to pay him $50 million for 4 years, for 192 shows a year, which is 4 per week. So if he missed an episode because he was traveling to an event somewhere or sick, he could easily make it up on one of his off days. And if you do the math, 50 million divided by 4 years is $12.5 million a year. Divided by 192 shows, that's $65,000 per show. So Crowder was making it seem like them docking him $100,000 for missing 1 day worth of work was atrocious. Like he's a normal guy and making $80,000 or $100,000 a year. But really, it's basically just them recouping the cost that they paid him for the missing episode with a small penalty in comparison. It would be like if you missed a day of work, not only do you get docked for that day, but you also lose a second day's pay as well. Not the end of the world, especially when you're making $12.5 million a year. This is Sean Hannity money. This is Anderson Cooper money. This is making me feel like a total failure kind of money. But Crowder is big time. He's the most subscribed conservative channel on YouTube. He's in with all the Republican members of Congress, many of whom have appeared on his show. So he's on a whole other level than me. As big as my channel is, it doesn't compare. So he was trying to make it seem like he was warning wannabe influencers and up-and-coming YouTubers about these terrible contracts from conservative media companies, and they could charge you $100,000 if you miss one video. But after watching the Daily Wire's response to him, which is almost an hour long, where Jeremy Boring went over the offer line by line, I think what is really going on here is Crowder thought that his show was worth a lot more money than it is, so he told the Daily Wire to get lost because he wanted $30 million a year, not the $12.5 million that they offered him, and then he came back to them wanting to renegotiate the deal. They said no, realizing that Crowder isn't a team player, and if he couldn't be happy with $12.5 million a year that they initially offered him, then he'll never be happy. So Crowder is without money from his original Mug Club, I think, which was like his own subscription service or personal Patreon that I think the Blaze was getting the money from, not him. And now the Daily Wire won't hire him, so he's throwing the Daily Wire under the bus, trying to get people to subscribe to his new Mug Club, the one that he controls, not the one that the Blaze made money from. Now, I've defended him when he's been censored, demonetized and when the leftists try to get him banned from YouTube. But I think he wildly misrepresented what really happened with the Daily Wire in a desperate attempt to try to get his revenue stream back now that the Blaze isn't paying him and the Daily Wire wouldn't pay him either. And a lot of people think that he's a hero for exposing nothing in his big announcement other than hoping the con artists in Big Con, as he calls them, will do better because of his pleading. Now for those receipts I promised about conservative ink. But first, because I'm a guy in my kitchen on a laptop, if you like my work, support me through Patreon or Subscribestar this year, which are linked in the description below, because I'm not Ben Shapiro, who is paying Facebook $135,000 a month every month on average to boost his posts on Facebook, just for his Facebook page alone, not for all Daily Wire advertising. So Shapiro paid Facebook $7.3 million divided by 4.5 years. Note the dates from May 18th through today. So that's $1.6 million a year, or $135,000 a month. So it's no wonder Ben Shapiro is the most popular political pundit on Facebook. This is publicly available information, by the way, that Facebook provides as part of their transparency policy after a few Russians bought some ads back in 2016. So who's in bed with big tech? Ben Shapiro. They're basically married. Also, as I've mentioned numerous times before, Ben Shapiro had a secret dinner with Mark Zuckerberg, at least one that we know of, at one of Mark Zuckerberg's homes. This is what Steven Crowder was alluding to, something that I've been talking about for years, something that he never mentioned before because he was in that inner circle conservative Inc. club. Glenn Beck was also at one of those dinners with Mark Zuckerberg. That's another fact that we know. And since we're on the topic, people should also know that Dave Rubin had a private meeting with YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki in 2019. He's Conservative Inc.'s token gay guy, so you know they're supporting him so that he can keep making the Republican Party more progressive. He's a good friend of Steven Crowder's, by the way. And this is why I've always stayed independent, because I don't want some executive producer or CEO telling me not to cover something or not to criticize someone or not report on the Bilderberg group meetings or Bohemian Grove or Operation Mockingbird or the Sun Valley Conference, or telling me that I need to just speak in weak generalities and give lukewarm takes about the wolves in sheep's clothing and the conservative movement or the cultural Marxists destroying our society. One of the points I agree with Crowder on in his video, which again I think wildly misrepresents what actually happened between him and the Daily Wire and is just a desperate money grab now that he's unemployed, was this.
They don't want a group of rebellious rabble-rousers who want to learn, fight like hell, and laugh together. You're of no value if you can't all be kept in line to some degree. I don't mean some master plan to eliminate you. Just subdue you a little bit. Just soften your edges a little bit. Just play ball a little more.
That's a good point, Stephen, but to be specific, since I never became friends with any of the phonies in our movement and I don't have any dual loyalties, I think what you mean is anyone who signs a contract with the Daily Wire, the Blaze, Fox News, Turning Point USA, or PragerU won't be allowed to criticize anything Israel does to the Palestinians. That's anti-Semitic, or how the anti-BDS laws violate the First Amendment, and they'll be told not to talk about anti-whiteism or black crime, especially using that term, and won't be allowed to denounce gay marriage with too strong of language, or say that gay men adopting children or buying them from fertility clinics and using surrogates like Dave Rubin is morally wrong. I don't mean for this to be a pile-on or an attack on Crowder. I have a lot of respect for him and what he's done. I've never really had anything bad to say about him other than maybe a tweet once years ago when I first saw him cozying up with Glenn Beck and joining the Blaze. And I'm not trying to start some beef or big controversy here, but this is a big deal. Withholding information about phonies and frauds in our movement and just thinking that they'll do better because you make a sales pitch for your mug club now that you're independent? As Joe Biden would say, come on, man. And speaking of Ben Shapiro, remember when he was caught on a hot mic telling his producer to cut out part of a live stream before the archive went up where he called pansexuals weird because he was worried that that would be problematic for the advertisers?
So, we are indeed done here today. I have an appointment I gotta get to. Thank you guys, it's great to see you, and I will see you here next time. One thing on that episode, I said pansexualism is weird. Can we just cut that?
I can ask.
That'd be great.
before it's reposted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could,
it's like a 10-second bit. It's about halfway through. It's just out of pansexual. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, you like everything? Like,
yeah,
no, just, like...
You want to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's just, like, it's nothing, but
so
they'll
when
make it something.
When do you
I mean, it is weird that you are attracted to every single thing.
Yeah.
Wait, when
no
you finish?
taste at all.
I thought that was a funny bit.
It is a funny bit, but that's why I'll get boycotted.
Now, look, obviously there's a line you got to be careful not to cross when talking about certain things so you don't get canceled or banned from certain platforms, but how much more can someone water down the message if they're afraid to call a weirdo a weirdo? It's leaders like that who have caused the conservative movement to be so weak that it couldn't hold back the onslaught of Marxism we're now seeing permeate every corner of America, especially in the schools. I'm certainly not saying that the Daily Wire doesn't do some good work or that they don't have some good hosts, but I just can't help but notice that they're astroturfing influencers like Brett Cooper, who on the surface looks like a college girl in her dorm room doing YouTube reaction videos, but is actually in a Daily Wire studio with a team of writers and editors and probably reading a teleprompter with talking points on it as well. And I don't have anything against this girl, and from what I've seen, she seems smart and on point, but as a media analyst, I can't help but point out that she's a creation of the Daily Wire, not some girl who started making reaction videos in her bedroom and went viral as she's presented. She's artificial. I did a whole in-depth report containing my thoughts on Ben Shapiro. I won't rehash that. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. And hopefully this means that Crowder will stop sucking up to little Ben and the rest of Conservative Inc., who keep steering conservatism slowly to the left. Today's Republican Party is more left than the Democrat Party was just 10 years ago, with Ronna McDaniel tweeting happy gay pride messages now. Steven's a talented guy. He puts on an entertaining show from what I've seen, so if you ever want my advice, if you want to brainstorm ideas and strategies, especially now that you're in a tough spot, you know how to get a hold of me, bro. I don't put people on pedestals and I don't tell people what they want to hear. I tell them what I want them to hear, whether it's going to cost me subscribers or the support of other YouTubers who may not want to have anything to do with me because I'm just a little too honest. For over 15 years, I've been calling out the liberal lunatics, the globalists, along with the rhinos and Conservative Inc. clowns, all from a laptop in my kitchen, without being part of any conservative conglomerate whatsoever, which is why I can't even fathom the amount of money that Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire are used to. I've always just preferred to do my own thing without anybody telling me what I can and cannot say, and without having to answer to anybody, and just try to sell some cool t-shirts to my viewers. And if you enjoy my work, order one of the shirts from markdice.com, or support me this year through Patreon or Subscribestar by clicking the links in the description below. And that way I won't have to get sponsors and do ad reads, giving a 90-second pitch before every video starts for some random product, like basically every other YouTuber. So supporting me through Patreon or Subscribestar is sort of like tipping your bartender or your waiter. If I provide you with a good service, then show me some support that way by clicking the links in the description below and checking them out.
Set it and forget it. That's if you followed all the instructional material.